The Houston Texans might be one of the hottest teams in the NFL. Will that stay that way this weekend? They are playing a fraud at the quarterback position. We got a lot to get into in the Locked On Texans Squad show.
Stan Norfleet here. Second Take Tuesday is back. We'll look at this Raiders game, this victory on Sunday, and try and forecast, can this defense get it together? We're also going to acknowledge 4 men over there at NRG that the NFL acknowledged today, coming up here on the Texas Squad Show.
And before we dive into that conversation, I'm John Hickman. Am I wrong to challenge the quarterback and question some of his performances this year? They've been lackluster. Can C.J. Stroud just be flat out better?
Yeehaw! It's time for the Texans Squad. Everything Houston Texans, every week. Bringing you the big hits, game-changing plays, and all the action straight from the Lone Star State. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Saddle up and squad up. It's the Texans Squad Show, starting now.
MC, you are muted.
Myself, hello guys. Welcome to the Squad Show. Michael Connor, John Hickman, Stan Norfleet. We're with you every single week in the middle of the week, breaking down what happened last week, getting you ready for this upcoming week. And of course, we'll be back with you on Saturday when the Texans and the Chargers play. We'll get into that game as well this evening. We got a lot to get into. Of course, what's left over from the win the other night. The Pro Bowlers were announced today. John apparently doesn't like what the quarterback's doing this season. Excuse me, as of late, I would guess. We'll get through all of it. Tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can get in on that action right now with FanDuel because you know what? NFL season moves fast. You might want to be right there in the middle of that action by visiting FanDuel.com and place your NFL bets all season long. All right, guys. So a couple of days removed, as always. It wasn't the prettiest of wins for the Houston Texans on Sunday over the Las Vegas Raiders, a game that they were 14.5-point favorites in. They did not cover the spread. Texans are not the favorite for this weekend's game anymore. They're a 1.5-point dog at the moment against the Chargers this weekend. But looking back on it a few days later, how are we feeling after that victory? That has continued the winning streak and gotten them to double digits on the season.
They got the job done. They got the job done. It was a tough win. It was another one-score victory. Houston is extremely familiar with those one-score victories. All week, last week I talked about, the Raiders defense, they ain't no punks, man. They got some good players over there. Their rookie cornerback has played good football all year. Eric Stokes has played some good football all year. And so for Houston, D'Amico talked about it. It was just good to see them get one of those wins that a lot of us felt like should have been a blowout. But, in the quest to the playoffs, they keep their hopes alive and they got the dub. So I think that may be my biggest takeaway that's not negative, but a lot of bad things from that game that Houston needs to figure a way to get better at.
Stan, what are you thinking a few days later?
I'm probably more disappointed in a victory than I was on Sunday. This team is just entirely too good, having won 7 straight, currently the NFL's longest active winning streak. Winners of 10 of their last 12. Like, the Texans have a standard that they play at. When they go out there, especially defensively, they're really competing against themselves. Very few teams in this league are going to be able to hang with the Texans, and that's with a depleted interior and backups and the secondary. We'll talk more about that here in just a second. I thought that the tackling at times, I just thought there was some lapses. For example, the Ashton Jeanty 51-yard touchdown, what was that? The 60-yard, touchdown catch where he runs away from Henry Toto. I thought Henry's eyes were bad. I thought Henry guessed on the tape. And shout out to Ashton Jeanty, made a play, explosive player. But then Miles Bryant's tackling. Tackling continues to be an issue that we're talking about more and more. Miles Bryant on the Ashton Jeanty 60-yard touchdown catch, he makes contact with Jeanty at the 15-yard line, give or take. You got him get on the ground. The 60-yard fourth quarter Jeanty run, Miles Bryant is the center field safety. He's the unblocked player. He's there at the line of scrimmage. It's a little bit of a traffic jam. Genty pops it out the left side of the formation, and Miles Bryant again does not get Genty on the ground. So I just wonder, as we get further and further nearing and into this postseason, when you're back there with guys that are backups to backups in the secondary, and some of those guys that are backups to backups, and guys coming off the street and getting pulled up from the practice squad on the interior of that defensive line, it just something that this defense needs to play at a certain standard. They were buffeted. I want to talk some more about that when we get to the Pro Bowl selections. Derek Stingley putting him, and it was a fantastic play by Stingley, his first pick six since high school. Stingley putting him on the board at 7-zip right off the rip alleviated a lot of pressure. This game was close. The Texans could have lost this ball game for sure.
Yeah, they had the lead. Raiders had the lead at one point. And Stan, I'm glad you pointed out, some of the things defensively that took place. You talk about Henry T's efforts, Miles Bryant's efforts. Houston also brought in, forget the D tackle's name, I can't pronounce it, but
Marlon Davidson.
They brought him in, but they also signed a D tackle again today.
Yes, I did see that. Yeah,
so,
Faoki.
Yeah.
He was up here.
So I think he played with Matt Burke a couple of years ago in Arizona, I believe. So, maybe they look at their situation and think that they need more help on the inside, losing Tim Settle and Mario Edwards to just kind of bulk up that D-tackle unit. Tommy T continues to play good football. So
I was going to give you guys a chance to give him some love because he got a lot of love from Nick Casario this week too.
Yeah, he plays some good football. He's one of those guys, if you look, he's been there since the start. And so guys that's been here for Houston, Sheldon Rankins, he's been playing good football for Houston. Tommy T has been playing good football for Houston. One of the things that I had an issue with, though, and I've been taking flack for it for the last couple of days, is the inconsistencies through his game altogether from C.J. Stroud. The amount of sailed overhead missed throws was just incredibly frustrating to watch. And this team is going to make the playoffs. We know that. But for them to have a real shot, and with that defense, that type of defense, we've seen teams in the past go to the Super Bowl, Baltimore Ravens, Legion of Boom, though I believe at this point, Russell Wilson was a little bit better player, but still a game manager-ish type of quarterback. You still need your quarterback to make the right throw, and it can't be just one throw here, one throw there. Some of these open throws that C.J. Stroud missed on Sunday, has missed throughout the year, and I go back and watch the tape. It's just frustrating to watch how he's making these throws, leaning back, fading away from the throw, not stepping into the throw. And I think that's hurt Houston offensively and then some of the receivers. You look at the one that underneath Xavier Hutchinson was wide open. If he just finds him, he may still be running. So it was extremely frustrating for me to watch that tape from the Sunday and then go back and watch it again Monday, because if he continues to play like that, it could be a one-and-done situation for the Houston Texans.
Stan,
before I get to the offense, a couple of nuggets on defense. Miles Bryant also on the Brock Bowers stutter-go touchdown down in the red area. Miles Bryant, I get it. Who was that? That's Kalen Bullock. His eyes were bad. Bullock's eyes were bad. He got caught on the stutter go. Bullock is a better athlete than Brock Bowers. But then Miles Bryant, you got to understand where you're at on the field. Cheat over here. And again, it was a hell of a throw by Geno, but Miles Bryant has got to be in position to make a play on the football. I also wonder why Will Anderson in that wide nine technique did not put his hands to reroute Brock Bowers, if you will, and to make it more difficult for him to get into his route. That's just something I noticed. Also, if you go back to me, 3rd and 17, 6:15 remaining in the third quarter, it's 14-13 Vegas Raiders, and Jalen Petrie on a ball from Geno Smith to Tyler Lockett gets a fingernail, a PBU by Jalen Petrie. That was going to be a catch by Tyler Lockett and a first down. So the Raiders had some momentum. Who knows what that drive would have resulted in? Nonetheless, they have to punt. So I just wanted to acknowledge those two defensive circumstances. For me, I just heard everything you just said about C.J. Stroud, and I echo his vision has been blurry at several points this season. His mechanics have been a bit rusty. We know he missed those 3 games out concussed. I don't want to, speculate that there's any lingering effects from those concussion or from that concussion, but he did miss some time, and we have to acknowledge that piece of it. For me, it's more about Nick Caley. And I just note some plays here. It's 3rd and 4. The Texans are backed up on their own 19-yard line. And if you look at the formation, it's Nico, Hutch, Nick Chubb is in there for pass pro, and they run a shallow dig to Cade Stover with the game essentially nip and tuck. Why is Dalton Schultz not in the game? What are we doing here?
They rotate players a lot offensively.
I'm not rotating Dalton Schultz. We got a ball game to win. Now, Cade Stover caught the football. It was a good throw by CJ. Again, you live to fight another series of downs, but you got to have Schultz in the ball game. That's just something that I saw. I also want to acknowledge the Texans finally get into the red zone. Speaking of Dalton Schultz, in the 4th quarter, Schultz get that touchdown. That's a busted coverage.
He was wide open.
If you just go, he was wide open.
Yeah.
Now, that's going to happen. Communication is part of the National Football League, but I'm just saying that doesn't make me feel better about what took place offensively from a Nick Caley standpoint.
Well, here's a question to you guys. And by the way, offensive line, pass pro, excellent. Run blocking, subpar. And this team, when they can't run the ball, they struggle to score points. The numbers support it. Over 100 yards this year. They average 32 under. It's tough sledding. But you got the first 2 quarters, however you want to look at it, of football from an offensive standpoint, and you're seeing your quarterback miss some of these layup of throws, right? As an offensive coordinator, at what point do you change your approach? Did he change his approach to the game, play caller wise, because of the miscues from this quarterback? From a player standpoint, he can't go on the field and make those throws. It has to be the quarterback to do that. And the whole first quarter was, countless. I got them right here. Countless missed throws that could have extended drives for the Houston Texans. And so you look at that element of the game, and then also when they are unable to run the ball, how often this year have we seen TJ Stroud lift the offense in those situations? And I think that plays into how you call the game.
For me, you mentioned the inability to run the football. Jawar Jordan didn't have a game versus the Raiders that he had in his, first NFL game versus the Arizona Cardinals the week before. But I still saw Jawar Jordan pop. There were a couple first down runs there of 10 yards, another one maybe 7-8 yards. So there was still some moments in there that Jawar Jordan was all right. I saw Dare Ogunbowale sneaking in on that 3rd down package about 2-3 times throughout the ball game.
Keep him off the field.
Man.
I don't think the running issue Sunday was due to the running backs they had available. I think it was all due to the offensive line not getting the push. Titus Howard, who many of us in the Texan community feel like maybe he's a Pro Bowl snub. He's played every position but center this year, it feels like. But, he had a couple of whiff blocks. They did a very good job from the inside position, just creating leaky gaps for linebackers to slip through and make tackles. So I don't think it was the running back's fault that they didn't run the ball well. I think it was on the O-line.
I also want to commend Nick Chubb. That was a very critical that 30-yard run, his longest on the season there in the second half. He made about 4 or 5 Raiders defenders miss. And if he can do that, and that's what I mean, every once in a while, he'll give you a glimpse of the Nick Chubb we remember from Cleveland prior to the injury. So I thought that part was positive. I say this, whether it's Caley or whether it's CJ, I'm standing on my statement. The offense as currently constructed is not good enough in my mind to have to go on the road 3 or 4 ball games. Granted, that 4th game will be the Super Bowl as it stands right now, and to go against the level of competition. They're going to have to get that offense back in rhythm, and it's just up and down. You score 40 versus Arizona, and then essentially this offense scores 16 points with the Stingley pick 6 against a team that's worse than them in the Vegas Raiders. And D'Amico, even today, D'Amico's on the flagship station trying to give, kudos to the Vegas Raiders and their effort and the way they fly around. And I'm getting D'Amico, stop. That's not a good football team. They do have some names that are long in the tooth. Jeremy Chin, Devin White, the Lonnie Johnson PI call, I thought was a stretch. That second one, the first one I came around, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that one being called. But, Max Crosby was the best player on the field. They were very slippery, penetrating, creating some havoc in the backfield, some 6 tackles for loss by the Raiders in the backfield versus that Texans O-line. I just thought the offense was clunky, but they did just enough to squeak by a bad team. They try that bleep on Saturday, they'll take an L. I'm not saying they will. I'm saying if they play like that, things could get dicey.
And things can be very difficult for them and when it comes to that offensive line because they have some injuries across it. Let's talk about those when we get back here on the Locked On Texans Squad show. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel. It's just so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum shift, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift, a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment, whether it's live spreads and money lines that adjust instantly, player props that update as guys heat up. You can bet the next touchdown score, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. And as I mentioned to start the show, Texans road dogs now this weekend. They opened as a slight road favorite, now 1.5-point dogs over there at FanDuel. So if you like the Texans this weekend and you want to get to it, get to FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com to place your live NFL bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, so can you. The Houston Texans take on the Los Angeles Chargers this weekend on Saturday. And we, of course, will be with you live when that game wraps up on the Locked On Texans Squad show. I'm Michael Connor, John Hickman, and Stan Norfleet with you here tonight. Make sure you're, of course, subscribed to this YouTube channel for John's daily work and this show. And you can get this in its podcast form anywhere that you get your podcast. Just search Locked On Texans. You can listen to it whenever. The Texans did, guys, not have a great game in terms of aesthetics. And on top of that, had some injury concerns that came out of it. I'm just going to run through the injury report today real quick, and we're going to get to the two biggest ones. Injury report for, what's today? Tuesday. Today's practice, Danico Autry did not practice with a knee. Jake Hansen did not practice with a chest. Dylan Horton did not practice with a hip. Kamari Lassiter did not practice foot. Sheldon Rankin's knee did not practice. Derek Stingley oblique did not practice. Azeez Al-Shaair returns to practice limited. Johnny Carter also limited. Dalton Schultz limited practice. Austin Brinkman full practice. Jamal Hill, Woody Marks, Darrell Taylor, and Justin Watson were all full practice today. The two names that I did not mention there, of course, were Ariante Ursary and Trent Brown. Brown dealing with the knee. According to Aaron Wilson, the team is viewing that as kind of day-to-day, looking at that thing. Ariante Ursary has had surgery on his hand. He broke his hand, apparently, and they've had to put some sort of metal component in it to help the healing process. Aaron Wilson of Channel 2 says that he's going to play again this season, that he is coming back, and they envision him playing with a club on his hand. I think it's pretty far-fetched to imagine he's playing this weekend based off of having surgery on, what's today, Tuesday? I would assume it was today or it was yesterday, and they're playing again Saturday in Los Angeles. You never know with these things. I mean, look, it's a different position. I get it, but Aaron Rodgers played with a broken hand, I think, the week after he did it.
Justin Herbert is doing it right now.
Yeah.
On his non-throwing hand.
Now, this guy is, kind of needing his hands to shove guys around.
There's some punching going on.
How concerning is this for this football team? I know we've talked about the offensive line all season long. Can they win a game this weekend without those two guys?
Without both of them?
Yeah, because, I look at you. I think at this point you have to bet that they're both not going to be there, correct? You hope that one of them's there, if not both, but I don't think that there's any reason that you should sit here today on Tuesday and go, they're going to have those guys this weekend.
I'll answer because John is thinking about what he wants to say. The answer is no. Let me be clear. It's the NFL. Anything can happen. What I predict, if I know by the time we get to Friday, or actually Thursday will be the last injury report. If we find out Thursday that Trent Brown and Ariante Ursary are not going to go, and even if Ursary can go, because some people are reporting that it is Ursary's thumb. If that thumb is indeed broken and they had to put a plate in there and they're going to have to club that thing, that puts him at a significant disadvantage to the pass rushers from the Chargers. And they got about 3 guys that can get after the passer. He's not going to be able to defend himself. It's going to be a significant disadvantage. Tui Puloto, I hope I'm saying that correctly, 13 sacks on the year. Congratulations to that young man. He made the Pro Bowl. Odafe Owe, a former first or second-round pick. I forget when Baltimore picked him up. He's now over there. He's got 7 sacks on the year, and that's before you get to Khalil Mack's 5.5. So Jesse Mentor's over there is going to dial up some pressure. If you watch the tape, it's the formula to beating the Houston Texans. So the offensive line was just playing okay with Trent Brown and Ariante Ursary. You remove both of those guys. Yes, Titus goes to right tackle. You put Jared Patterson at left tackle, but now you got, Blake Fisher out there starting at left tackle. That just doesn't make me feel good about what's going on here. Good news is Woody Marks is back, so you got a more explosive option in the backfield. But that offensive line, I would not predict the Texans to win, and I think that's why the point spread has swung. It opened 1.5 points, as you and I were talking about MC off air. Mm-hmm. It opened 1.5 Houston. It has now swung, I believe, after this offensive line news, to 1.5 points for the Chargers.
John, what you thinking?
I think Stan wrapped it up. I mean, speaking of wrapping up, man, happy holidays, Merry Christmas to you guys and your families and all that.
Absolutely, same to you and yours. As well as the folks in the comments. I see my man Astrodome is over there. What up, Astro?
Nah, bah humbug the haters out there. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I think Blake Fisher has been decent in his role when they've been asking him to block, but I don't know if he can do it for a full game.
As left tackle?
What side has been?
That jumbo tight end is a little different than his left tackle.
You're absolutely right, and so I can't bank on Blake Fisher to perform well enough. But also, man, you move Titus Howard again. It's a revolving door for Titus, and I know
give him some more money just to reward him for being like the biggest team player ever, right?
We're gonna have to because
John, why y'all there? Titus says that he's been practicing every day with some reps at tackle because he just never knows when he's got to go over there. So for the folks in the comment section and for the Texas fans watching and listening, it's not like he's got to figure out how to get back on the bike. The repetitions are not going to be unfamiliar to him.
And for Titus, man, 0 sacks this year. He's played some good football for Houston, pass protecting wise. But what makes it so frustrating and why it's easy to say the offensive line will have issues is because Titus was the guy when they moved him over at left guard. He kind of leveled out the offensive line with Trent Brown taking over at right tackle, right? And so now you miss 2 guys, and then you also move a guy back over to a position where you play well, but that messes up the cohesiveness of the offensive line. And then that's not even getting to who they're going to have to replace at left guard. Will it be Jay Pat? Will it be Drew Scruggs? More than likely it'll be Jay Patterson. He got in last week, so can he play serviceable enough? I actually talked to him after the game. He gave me a really good conversation. But I can't the Chargers get after guys, and on top of that, they don't let people run over them, right? Very good run defense. I think this is going to be a
top 5 run defense in the league, top 10 total defense in the league.
I think this is going to be a hell of a game for the Texans offensive line, and I'm not confident enough to pick them to beat the Chargers in that aspect. Curious to see how instead maybe you let me know how do you see the game plan changing because of
that was my question. That was literally stealing a question out of my mouth. Is what do you think they do game plan wise here to combat these things?
Well, what you don't do is you don't drop CJ Stroud back 40 times. That's a mistake. So what you want to do is stay committed to the philosophy. D'Amico believes they can run the football. I do not. I've been saying that all year. They ran the football better with big old Trent Brown over there at the right tackle, and you got Titus at that point over at left guard. But you remove Trent Brown from there as well as Ariante Ursary. Wonder if Cam Robinson was still on this roster, how comfortable he would stabilize things. And again, we don't know that Ariante isn't going to play on Saturday. Perhaps he can, and we just don't know, how he'll be able to perform and how many games he will miss, if any. I also want to highlight, I know the question that you asked me, Denzel Perryman, former Texan, linebacker here, going back to that 2023 season, D'Amico Ryan's first year here. Obviously, he's now back in Los Angeles with the Chargers. He is out for the remainder of the regular season, given that he has been suspended. So they'll have a new Mike linebacker. Somebody else will have the green dot making the calls. So perhaps there's something in the interior of that Charger defensive unit that they can make some hay, especially with Woody Marks being back healthy. This is not a CJ drop, stand back and throw the ball around. Derwin James is lurking back there, and he's just not a guy that you want to fool around with. Sante Samuel Jr. and others are back there.
So this is the thing, because they're not going to be able to run on them. They still want to win this game. Who else are you going to lean on offensively in this situation? Typically, in the history of the NFL, it's been the quarterback, especially for playoff teams. So wouldn't it show a flaw? And a flaw that, we know, but the national media will see now. If they can't run that ball, right? If you can't drop them back 40 times, in what way can they create some type of advantage for themselves offensively, guys?
Probably run more pitch plays. That's what they should do. Those worked really well on Sunday. That's what I'd do. Do more of those.
So you got to remember, this offense is not designed to be explosive. So they're going to have to
designed to make you want to bash your head into the wall sometimes.
Yeah, like Dalton Schultz and Cade Stover, but more so Schultz still has to be a part of this thing. Now you got to take your spots when you can get them. Christian Kirk had a couple balls. They both were for first downs. Yeah, you're going to need a couple of those. Maybe, Higgins can give you one or two of those. And of course, Nico is going to go be Nico. But this is really about Woody Marks and Jawar Jordan getting the ball checked down, making a man miss, getting 5-6 yards a clip. Dalton Schultz working the intermediate, the middle of the field. That's what this offense is. This is when the Texans are at their best. But if they become one-dimensional, especially with one or both of those tackles being out, it's going to be a long day at the office. We've seen C.J. Stroud when he's being sped up, when they've got 6, 7, 8 defenders at that line of scrimmage, with some token pressure, or if they all out blitz, they get rattled and the offense comes together at the seams. If they become one-dimensional, they can't run the ball. It's going to be a long day in Los Angeles at SoFi.
I don't know how you combat it, to be honest. It's, Mr. Positivity over here. I am so overly concerned about this season just becoming unraveled because of 2 injuries there. I'm going to pick the Texans still because I'm going to stick to being Mr. Homer later on, but I am very, very concerned. To the points you made earlier, John, I think the way CJ's playing, the mechanics and why is it going to be better this weekend when he doesn't have his 2 tackles?
And so that's kind of want to get back to, like, I know Stan says they got to run the ball, and obviously they're going to run the ball, but I don't think that they're going to run the ball good enough per pop. So maybe this is one of those games where the volume of runs help Houston out in the long run, not necessarily the average of runs. Which, if that's the case, and hopefully they can use that to get to the plus side of the field and maybe punch it into the red zone. If not, which is we've seen it all year, Fairbairn can knock it down. But we all saw Monday Night Football, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we all saw Old Man Rivers, right?
Yeah, he was out there. He was working it, man.
So he just came off the couch. Obviously, he has 20 years.
He's literally fat and out of shape,
and was dying.
He didn't look bad.
He didn't look bad. He looked in that first half. He looked great. So what I'm getting at is
49ers defense is pretty bad.
What I'm getting at is, like, my expectation for a franchise quarterback, which I think C.J. Stroud is, by the way, should be able to lift their team in times like this. And this isn't a great running team. This is a team that when they face bad fronts, they can run the ball well, or they'll give you an explosive run here and there. But throughout the year, they've had their struggles. This is the moment where you want your franchise quarterback to step up. And neither one of us have talk confidently enough today to say that he can do that Saturday against the Chargers. I think that's a problem, especially going into the playoffs.
I want to make sure that I acknowledge my error. I mentioned when I was talking about Derwin James and I believe I said Tony Jefferson. I believe I referenced Asante Samuel Jr. Forgive me, he's no longer with them. That's an error on me. Dante Jackson has had an excellent year for them. Dante Jackson has 4 interceptions on the year, former LSU standout, second-round pick to the Carolina Panthers, been a little bit of a journeyman here, made a stop in Pittsburgh, but now he's with the Chargers. I just want to acknowledge that
Samuel's
Asante Samuel Jr.
He's with Pittsburgh now.
Correct. So my error on that piece. They're going to have, they got to try. And I understand, John, I know we got to go to break. And I made this comment on Sunday. CJ does not appear to be as comfortable. He does not appear to be as locked in. I don't know that he loves this offense. Now, he can't do anything about that right now. The structure is the structure. He's got to go do the very best he can. CJ Stroud's got to play clean football. He can't throw the ball away. He's got to take the layups when they're there. But when he gets those shots, and they're going to come maybe 3, 4 times, 5 times a game, he has to connect. And he has not done so consistently enough this year. And we'll see. Nico Collins, you're a Pro Bowler. Congratulations to you again. You got to go make magic, my boy. The Texans need Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz, Woody Marks. Those are the 3 best offensive players. And then you'll get whatever you can get from Chris.
Wait a minute. Did Stan just say that?
He put Woody Marks in the conversation.
Did he put Woody Marks in that conversation?
He did it.
Well, this whole year, when he has shown me more, I have said he is the 3rd best offensive weapon they have over there this season. I don't have a problem with that. He's earned it.
They need somebody else to step up and be a real offensive weapon this weekend. Let's talk a little bit more about that in a bit. Let's talk about the Pro Bowl, too, because the Pro Bowl was announced today. Now, not that you're going to be watching the Pro Bowl games, but it matters to the players to be elected. We'll talk about that here in a brief second. Locked On Texans Squad Show. Car shopping should feel exciting, not confusing. And, well, with Car Gurus, you get the confidence you deserve. They cut through all the noise so you can actually see the best deals on the cars you want, because when it comes to the big purchase, you deserve the best deal. Car Gurus makes the whole process simple by giving you real information, real deal ratings, and more listings than anyone else, so you can shop all you want. Use Car Gurus deal ratings to compare cars quickly without having to guess whether the price is fair. Their price drop alerts are a lifesaver. You get notified the second a car you're watching becomes a better deal. Car Gurus connects you with trusted dealerships for a transparent and hassle-free buying process. With over 4 million listings, the most of any major online automotive marketplace, you'll find the best deal. Shop the way you want with the tools, data, and unbiased deal ratings that make it easy. Buy or sell your next car today at cargurus.com. That's CARGURUS.com, cargurus.com. Pro Bowl name today for the NFL, and yes, it's a thing that has not mattered for a very long time in terms of what's played on the field, but players it does matter for, because they can make a little bit extra cash. Some Texans did that today, guys. Michael Connor, Stan Norfleet, John Hickman with you here on the Texans Squad Show. Thanks for joining us. 4 players named to the Pro Bowl today. Those guys, Nico Collins, and then the rest of them are on defense, as you would suspect. Derek Stingley Jr., Derek Stingley Jr., Will Anderson Jr., and Azeez Al-Shaair, who gets in for the first time in his career. Look at Azeez. He'll be back this weekend, too, which the Texans will be happy to have him back out there. But, guys, was this enough representation of the Texans? There were, I think, 3 or 4 teams that had 6 guys represented. The Texans get 4, which isn't a bad number by any means. Of course, you'd like to have some more on the offensive side, but was there anybody out there, and I guess you can give your thoughts on the guys that did make it as well, but was there anybody else out there that should have been named?
There were 19 first-timers on this ballot as well. I want to make sure we acknowledge that. So you talk about the parity of the National Football League. I just want to start. I'm talking about 19 across the league, obviously. So you got some new blood in there, including Azeez Al-Shaair, which if you guys heard me, if you remember back to some of the conversations, John, you'll remember this specifically. Remember when I was talking about watching Demario Davis coming to his own in New Orleans and how he started to get that recognition. Yeah. And I said, maybe this is going to be one of those years for Azeez. And here we are, Azeez El-Shire. Congratulations to him. By the way, did y'all know that Azeez? Yeah, Azeez talked about just the coming off that Jacksonville Trevor Lawrence hit last year. He contemplated retirement this offseason. He was over it. He was going to walk away from football. He said that in an interview. I saw that from the locker room. I think that was today after practice once it was announced. So happy that Azeez stuck with it. And it is certainly acknowledged. Snubs. Well, hold on. Let's do this. I saw, where was it at? There was who's the first alternate? Kamari Lassiter is the first alternate.
Kamari is a fifth alternate.
So Kalen Bullock is the first alternate.
Ooh, I had it written down earlier.
This was Jonathan M. Alexander had it earlier, and I'm trying to find it right now. So if you find one of you, if you would, help me out and cover me on that.
I am looking for it right now, but I do remember Kamari being the fifth alternate cornerback, which a player that should have made it outright being fifth is insane.
Oh my goodness! Here it is. First alternate Kamari Lassiter. First alternate safety Kalen Bullock. Fifth alternate Jalen Petrie. So Kamari, a lot of people have elevated him and put him not on Stingley's level, but certainly put him as one of the top tier corners in the league, kind of a 1A, if you will. We all know how I feel about Kalen Bullock. And with that being said, and I still haven't got to my snub, John, I'll come to you and then I'll come back. I just want to acknowledge this Texans secondary. Following Stingley's interception and the pick six on Sunday, the Texans became the fifth team since 2010, the first team since the Jaguars in 2017 to have four players each record at least 4 picks in a single season. So this has been a historic secondary in the Houston Texans. I took a lot of time. John, you go ahead, and I'll come back because I still haven't even said my player that got snubbed.
No, for me, the player that got snubbed, I thought should have been outright voted from the jump. It's Kamari Lassiter. His numbers on the year, extremely – the numbers on the year match what we see, and the numbers back it up. So I'm looking at right now. I had it written down. But Kamari, I think this year has been a phenomenal football player. He's one of the more willing tacklers at cornerback in the NFL. Mm-hmm. He makes plays in the secondary, whether it's an interception or you look at some of the pass breakups that he makes out there as well. And then also just his leap and being able to limit yak yards. And so I don't think that on the year, not sure if many cornerbacks has limited the amount of yak yards as he had this year. So it's frustrating to see that. I thought that this team being the number one defense in the NFL, that probably should have alone bought them a couple of more.
How about the other guy opposite of Will Anderson who didn't make it, by the way? Danielle Hunter.
Danielle Hunter's on that. He's on that list.
13 sacks.
He's got more sacks than the dude on the same team.
Myles Garrett and Max Crosby got in at Pro Bowl.
Of course, yeah.
So
and listen, I want to make sure,
guys, really quick. It's just Kamari Lassiter. I thought that him being in the shadow of Derek Stingley, 85 tackles, first among outside cornerbacks, 40 stops, first among outside cornerbacks per next gen stat, 16 pass deflections, 7 TFLs, 4 interceptions. That man been balling this year, so he should have got it out the gate.
Here, I understand your argument, and that's why he's the first alternate. You also, just every time we talk about any list, to put Lassiter in, you got to take somebody out. We're not taking out Patrick Surtain the second. So now that only leaves you one other spot. Christian Gonzalez is on a team that has more wins in New England than the Texans have. Christian Gonzalez has been excellent, and he's been doing it for the last few seasons. So I think Christian Gonzalez ranks just a tick higher than Kamari Lassiter.
If I can combat that as a Patriot fan, Gonzalez missed some games this year. Kamari hasn't, and the who Kamari has had to line up against, I think has been a little bit tougher. And I also think this year Kamari has been a better player overall.
So I will combat that argument with this. Pro Football Focus, Week 16, Derek Stingley Jr., 93.2 overall grade, the best coverage grade of anybody in the league in Week 16. I had something else from Stingley, but my point being is Gonzalez does not have the luxury of playing off somebody as good as Stingley. He is the Stingley on that team. So he's got to go guard everybody's one. That's not always the case. And I'm not hating on Lassiter. I just don't think he's playing better ball right now than Christian Gonzalez. As for my snub, Danielle Hunter was certainly my second snub from a Texan standpoint. I'm sorry, Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz has earned the right to have a Pro Bowl season. He has more yardage than Brock Bowers. He's on a winning team. Brock Bowers is not. Brock Bowers, however, has 7 touchdowns to 3 for Dalton Schultz. So I thought that one could have gone Schultz. And for Schultz to not even be listed as first alternate in the AFC, I get it. They took Travis Kelce and they took, was it Tyler Warren from Indianapolis? Were those the 2 tight ends from the AFC?
Yeah, you got to get Kelce in there one more time, since he's not going to be playing football anymore.
Now, Kelce has better numbers.
I'm saying you got to put him in there, give his little goodbye, and then he can go off to his world with his untalented girlfriend or whatever she is.
Whoa!
I just thought for me, it was Brock Bowers and Kelce. So Tyler Warren didn't even get it over Dalton Schultz. Brock Bowers is the touchdowns, and I get it. Last year, many people were saying he was the best tight end in football, and deservingly so. This year, however, I think Schultz, again, on a winning team that's headed to the postseason, especially if you watch the games, look at the offense. Schultz battling through injuries. He's out there every week. He has improved this season as a blocker. John challenged him on that front coming into the year. Schultz, to me, was a snub. He should at least be first alternate. And that distinction likely went to, I'm guessing, it went to Tyler Warren since Bowers and Kelce got in.
The safety for the AFC Pro Bowl, who made it?
Derwin James was one of them. Let's see who the other safety was.
And Derwin James kinds of line up. He lines up everywhere.
The safety, they took Jalen Ramsey, Kyle Hamilton in Baltimore, and Derwin James are the 3 safeties. See, I think that's what hurt Jalen Petrie. Jalen Petrie got hurt because the way they use Jalen Ramsey. He's essentially their big nickel.
Yeah. Has Ramsey played better than Petrie this year?
It's probably given it to him since he got spit on.
Yeah, it's right there. I think Petrie, and many people have said it, Petrie has been the best nickel in the league. And I'm talking about football people have said that.
Yeah.
Petrie's been. Now, what has hurt Petrie? He missed games with a concussion.
I just feel like you see his name pop every single week, and people are talking about him every single week for what he's doing. I'm a little bit surprised. I don't know.
Can I say this about Petrie? And I don't mean to be that's not even disingenuous. I don't mean to be rude, but I get it. The Guardian cap, especially missing games with concussion, and as a former player myself, I have respect for the brutality and physicality of the game. But that red Guardian cap looked hideous. He looked like Super Mario Brothers. You see the ladies, they got these big old bonnets on. I'm like, good Lord, it looks hideous. He plays good ball, but it was not aesthetically pleasing to see Petrie out there with that Mario.
I'm always so curious to how much that thing weighs. Like, does it make the helmet heavier? That's my question. I mean, it's for safety thing. It's just
it's not much heavier.
It's just crazy. It does look a little bit funny. He looks like the Toad on Mario Kart.
I say King Koopa the Toad. Oh, we talked about the money. Will Anderson Jr. by making the
wait a minute.
Will Anderson Jr. triggered $7 million additional dollars on his 5th-year option for 2027. Because that's right. Yeah, because this is year 3. So he technically, contractually, he'll play out year 4. So by the time we get to 2028, his 5th-year option just went up $7 million. Congratulations, Will
Anderson
from
Jr. 15.
He'll have a contract by then.
15.26 up to 22.299.
Yep.
Can I say something? Jalen Ramsey, according to Pro Football Reference, he's allowed 6 TDs this year, 531 yards. Jalen Petrie, 367 yards. He did miss a couple of games. 0 touchdowns allowed this year.
And everybody sees how physical he is in the run game. You can go back to that Kansas City Sunday night game when he absolutely – that was tough. I probably – and this is one thing that D'Amico – and this impacts Lassiter and Bullock as well. Typically, you see teams that have the best overall defense or offensive unit, you see the majority of those guys make it. Now, I can understand the argument for Lassiter, but Bullock on the number one defense in the National Football League, and it's been that way for most of the year, I think that should have given Bullock the nod. Lassiter, I understand. Bullock, not so much.
It'll be interesting to see how many of these guys in their roster make All-Pro. Because that's the one that matters more than anything else. They'll get at least one, I would imagine. I think would be the
one other thing before we close out on this one on the Pro Bowl, the balloting. So the NFL recently changed the balloting. The fan vote only counts 1/3. It's 1/3 fan, 1/3 player, 1/3 coaches. So 2/3 of this deal are actual football people that know what they're looking at.
Yeah.
Just want to put that out there.
It's good that we have eliminated some of the people that don't need to be voting on it. Sorry to the fans out there, but I don't want to be responsible for any of it. All right, let's get into this week. The Chargers out in LA the second time. The Texans will go to SoFi Stadium. Can they figure it out this time around against the other LA team? We'll talk about it next year on the Locked On Texans Squad show. Possibly the biggest game on the NFL schedule this weekend happens on Saturday between the Texans and the Rams. We're talking about it here. Or not the Rams, the Chargers on the Locked On Texans Squad show. Michael Connor, Stan Norfleet, John Hickman with you. Thanks for joining us as always. Hit the subscribe button on the Locked On Texans YouTube page and come back Saturday when the game wraps up. Don't forget 3:30 kick Saturday afternoon. So kind of basing it off of where we finished last week, and it'll probably be somewhere between that 6:30 and 7 p.m. when we will be live. And Wade Smith, I can't talk all of a sudden. Wade Smith will join us for that one as well. As the matchup is the 11-4 Chargers against the 10-5 Texans. Chargers 6-2 at home on the season. Texans are 4-3 on the road. Guys, I was just pulling up the schedule here. It is, I think, without a doubt, the biggest game of the weekend. I know there's a seeding matchup for the Bears and Niners that's going to matter there on Sunday Night Football. That's a good matchup. There's a Sunday afternoon game that's Eagles and Bills that could be interesting. But other than that, I think this is the most intriguing game of the weekend because this is going to matter for the wild card in the AFC because right now the Chargers are the 5 seed. Texans sit at the 7. So the Texans would bump up to the 5 if they get the victory in this one, no matter what Buffalo does, because they, of course, hold the tiebreaker over Buffalo. So you could be talking about the Texans lining themselves up to not be playing New England, to be playing the Pittsburgh Steelers as it stands right now. You, of course, would have to go to Pittsburgh. But just how massive, as we've talked about all the gauntlets of everything's, is it going to come down to this being the most important game of the regular season? In all honesty,
I think that, John, you're on mute.
For the longest, I thought it was going to be the Colts game in week 18. So, but we see the Colts with a lot of contention. You still think so?
Yeah, because I think the Jags are going to win. If the Jags win out, they get the division win.
Oh, I thought
for the longest the Texans and Colts week 18 matchup was going to be the game of the year.
I'm saying I still do. I think that's going to come down and I don't know who Jacksonville plays.
Jacksonville is the Colts and the Titans. They're winning. I'm sorry, they're winning out. They're winning the division. Give it to them. Give them the crown.
Tough. Yeah,
they're taking the AFC South.
Yeah. No, Saturday is important. If they beat the Chargers, they flip seedings and they get a more favorable matchup. I think that defense versus Aaron Rodgers, Pittsburgh, as you put it, I think they'll make his day tough, man. And Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers have been playing some good football as of late. Shout out to Mike Tomlin. Another season without a losing record. 19 in a row for him, I think.
22 straight?
Is it 22 as an overall or 19 as a head coach?
It's the Steelers. I think the Steelers are 22 overall, and for Mike Tomlin, it's like 19. Yeah.
So this is an important game for them, man. Very important game. It's going to be a tough game. The Chargers run the ball well, especially they got Amarion Hampton back.
Yes. Good. Yeah, him back healthy. Yeah, him and Vidal make a good 1-2 punch.
A very good 1-2 punch. And Herbert can get a little busy.
And Justin Herbert is running the bleep out the football.
Yeah, he
Justin
can get busy.
Herbert, every game is getting a handful of runs.
Mm-hmm. 6 yards per carry. As of late, he's keeping the turnovers down. It's going to be a tough game for the Texans. And again, guys, what can be the game plan? Stan, I'm going to throw this back to you, man. What can be the game plan for Houston overall to beat the Chargers?
Keep the ball out of the hands of Justin Herbert, who is playing better football than C.J. Stroud right now. I mean, at the end of the day, if you give – I think the Chargers defense have a greater likelihood of limiting the Texans offense. And now that Texans defense has been outstanding, but we're starting to see some cracks. That's back-to-back weeks, the two of the three worst teams in the National Football League. The Cardinals and the Raiders have both put up 20-plus points on this defense. And that, I believe, that is attributed to more guys on IR, those defensive tackles. I think that's Azeez Al-Shire. You get busted coverage, and Henry T has struggled in coverage this year at times. And then you start talking about that safety position. And now you're on your backup to the backup. Back there with Miles Bryant, who did not have a good game. I mentioned that to open the show. Several missed opportunities to get guys on the ground for Miles Bryant and not squeezing that Brock Bowers touchdown down there in the red area, not squeezing it down there and helping Caleb Bullock out. So the game plan has got to be to run the ball as effectively as you can, even if you get some quick passes out on the perimeter to guys like a Christian Kirk, more so a Jalen Noel and Nico Collins. Guys that can do something, make a defender miss, get the ball out there that can count as a perimeter run. I look for more screens, more reverses. I don't want CJ necessarily running with the football unless he has to. And you just have to play keep away, time of possession, don't turn the ball over, and then you put the pressure on this defense, as has been the case all year. This defense has got to go take the ball away. Justin Herbert is going to remember the last time he faced that DeMeco Ryans defense. And just like I said with the Josh Allen, I didn't think that this defense could go replicate what they did to Josh Allen last year, and they could do it again this year. And they went out there on, what was that, Sunday Night Football or Thursday Night Football in front of the country, and they did
even better.
And they did it more, right? 8 sacks. They took the ball away some more. 4 takeaways maybe? This defense, can they go replicate the performance a year ago versus the Chargers, this time out in L.A. at SoFi, a place they've already been this season, so it won't be unfamiliar territory? Can they go out there, and this defense is going to have to bring the win home? Without these 2 tackles, though, if both tackles for the Texans can't go, I think they're in for some trouble.
John, what is it for you? You're on mute, by the way.
I don't know, fellas. I don't know.
You can't do something. They got to go play the game.
They got to go play the game. The players got to go win it.
Okay.
Let's
go down the options. Do you want Woody Marks to get the ball 25 carries?
I think the running back unit altogether should get the ball between 22 and 30 times, 38. And that could look like dump offs as well to kind of help get some yak yards underneath with one-on-one opportunities with linebackers. So about 20, like I said, about 25 is a good number.
I also think about this. If the if the Los Angeles Chargers get the lead, and with those backups in on the offensive line, you start allowing those guys, I can't even pronounce this man's name, Tui Poito. But
there you
anyway, y'all know, you'll see him. He's a Pro Bowler. He's a bad man. He'll be out there running around. If the Chargers can unleash these pass rushers with guys like Derwin James and Dante Jackson lurking around back there, Tony Jefferson is long in the 2. He's got, 3 interceptions, I think, on the year. That's just not a good formula. It is important that the Texans stay within a 1-score lead.
Yeah.
And we know what the Texans have done in these 1-score games. It started ugly. They were 0-3 in 1-score games to start the year. They have righted that ship and been on the right side. But it's going to be critical, time of possession and not getting down more than 1 score.
Yeah, and I would presume if they won the toss to kick off the game, they probably put their defense on the field first.
Yeah, you want to defer for sure.
They're going to defer. So, don't see too many weaknesses for this Charger team. They've been playing some good football as of late. They've been able to run the ball. So you look at a team that can keep away themselves, wear down a defense, and get to the fourth quarter and maybe get an explosive play here and there to get a 10-point lead. That's a possibility. Sounding like none of us trust Houston to come back from a deficit. Is that the case?
I would agree.
Given where this offensive line is, yes.
Right now.
Now, the defense could take the ball away. Special teams could block a punt. Jalen Noel could have a critical return. Chank completely flip the field. So I'm not saying wave the white flag. I'm just saying I wouldn't bet my mortgage.
But everything that you just mentioned, that sounds great for a team when they can kick field goals. Like they can flip the field with a good return. But do you trust the offense to get into the red zone, punch it in? No. Then you're going to settle for the field goal. Unless we get another Stingley pick six or anybody pick six, you can flip the field, get a good return. But do you trust the offense to punch it in for 7? No, so you're going to end up with another field goal. And I don't think the Chargers are a team that you can just win this game against with threes all game. So it's going to be the first time in a long time.
You're picking against them?
I got to pick against the Houston Texans.
Let me see what the injury report is. And if Ursery more so than anything, Ursery is more important than Trent Brown. Because if you got Ursery, you can still put either Blake Fisher at right tackle. I really don't want to do that. I would really kick Titus back to his home at right tackle, and we can keep playing. If Ursery is out or if Ursery is clubbed, that's going to present some problems. I want to also, because we're going to talk so much about the Texans defense, and for good reason. It's the best defense in the league. Pete Carroll, the head coach of the Raiders, acknowledged such when asked in postgame. Pete Carroll said, it's not even close. Like the way they play, the personnel they've accumulated, that's how you want to play. But I also want to add this. The number one offense from a yardage standpoint, I believe, coming into week 16 was the Dallas Cowboys. These Chargers and this defense shut them out in the second half. They were outscored 13-0 in the second half at Dallas. Just something to keep in mind. This defense for the Chargers is underrated. This is going to be a tough out. And I will really be impressed if C.J. Stroud and Nick Caley can perform their best in this game right here. Because if they can check this off the list, for sure. If they can check this game off the list, we've been to Baltimore and won. Granted, without Lamar Jackson, but we still won. We went to Kansas City when it was do or die for the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, as well as Chris Jones, they played and we won. They said MVP candidate and the reigning MVP winner Josh Allen coming in our building. Loudmouth like Stan said that we couldn't shut him down again. We did that again. You start checking off. You go
shut
to
down
LA,
JT. They shut down JT.
You go on the road, and now you take care of Justin Herbert and a Chargers team that is headed to the postseason. They have double-digit wins as well. You start checking off these boxes, and it's like, okay, the Texans are for real, and here we are in December, headed into January. So this is a big matchup, no question.
Well, I guess I'll be the voice of
Stroud to make me shut up, guys. I'm a Stroud fan. I think he can be an elite quarterback, but this year he's been a GM, and that's a game manager for most part of the year. He's had a couple of great moments, but it hadn't been consistent. If C.J. Stroud can lift this offense in ways that we've seen him lift it before, whether it's 2023 or 2024, San Fran this year, which is probably, in my opinion, his best game, then we can swing the conversation back to a realistic chance that this team can make a Super Bowl.
I'll be the voice of reason for this week, and I'll tell you the Texans win 42-0. All right, guys, parting shots for the people. Because Justin Herbert's a fraud. Let's go ahead and give our parting shots for the week as we say goodbye until Saturday.
I'll go up first since John just articulated some thoughts there on Texans quarterback C.J. Stroud. I saw this from the NFL. C.J. Stroud with the win on Sunday versus the Raiders. C.J. Stroud ties Hall of Famer Peyton Manning for third most wins by a quarterback drafted number 1 or number 2 overall in their first 3 seasons in the modern draft era. So that's rarefied air. I mean, you start thinking about it. This is now 3 consecutive seasons, 10+ wins. Commendable. I think CJ does enough to keep them in the game. They'll keep it 1 score to the end. I just think Herbert outplays CJ, and that is the difference.
Wait, didn't Peyton Manning win like 3 games his rookie year?
Yeah, they were terrible.
In the second year, wasn't it like 6 or something? It wasn't crazy.
No, they went like 13 next year.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Maybe he just wasn't great. Okay. My party shot.
Era. Yep.
My party shot. everybody enjoy the holidays. Spend time with your family, your loved ones, whoever they may be. Enjoy yourself. It's been a big year for the Texans, but it's a big year for all of us that have to live our everyday lives. So we're going to get some basketball. I think we get some NFL on Christmas as well.
Got 3 NFL games.
You got 3 NFL
Goodell.
games, and they are the schedule is cheeks, boys. Cowboys, Commanders, Lions, Vikings, but they got a backup quarterback going now. And then Chiefs, Broncos. You're not watching football on Thursday. You're watching basketball.
You're watching basketball.
Now, I'm going to watch
Roger
NFL,
Goodell, who
but
moved like Marlo. He took over blocks, man. He took over the NBA. But the NBA is good this year. But for our listeners and supporters out there, I hate to use the word fans, our supporters out there, our Texan family out there, enjoy yourself because you worked hard enough to be to this point. Enjoy your family, get some rest, and hopefully the Houston Texans can repay you with a dub on Saturday.
They will repay you with a dub, and we will repay you for watching us with another great show as soon as the game ends. Yes, that is. Join us as soon as the game ends Saturday. Again, 3:30 kicks, so somewhere between probably that 6:30 and 7 start time, unless, of course, there's overtime, which, again, if the Texans win, like I said, 42-0, there's no overtime. We will talk to you guys Saturday after Texans and Chargers on the Locked On Texans Squad show.